depths of human existence lies a fortress that no external force can breach, a sanctuary that remains untouched by the chaos of the world around us. This is our inner citadel, the sacred space within consciousness where true serenity dwells. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who penned his meditations while leading armies and governing an empire, understood this profound truth, that the quality of our inner life determines the texture of our outer experience. The ancient Stoics spoke of this inner fortress as the command center of the soul, the place where we exercise our most fundamental freedom, the freedom to choose our response to life's circumstances. This choice, perhaps more than any external achievement or possession, defines the trajectory of our happiness and the depth of our peace. Yet how often do we neglect this inner realm, focusing instead on the external storms that rage around us, forgetting that we possess the key to our own tranquility? The journey toward cultivating this inner serenity begins with a radical shift in perspective. We must recognize that while we cannot control the winds of fate, we possess absolute sovereignty over the sails of our consciousness. The waves may crash against the hull of our existence, but within the captain's quarters of our mind, we determine the course. This understanding forms the foundation of what philosophers have long called the examined life, a life lived with intentional awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Consider the nature of suffering itself. The Buddha taught that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. This distinction illuminates the space between what happens to us and how we internalize these experiences. A loss occurs, a disappointment strikes, a dream crumbles. These are the raw materials of human experience. But the meaning we assign to these events, the stories we weave around them, and the emotional weight we allow them to carry, these are choices we make within our inner citadel. The cultivation of serenity requires us to become archaeologists of our own consciousness, carefully excavating the layers of conditioning, assumption, and reactive patterns that have accumulated over years of unconscious living. We must examine the roots of our fears, the origins of our desires, and the unconscious beliefs that drive our automatic responses to life's challenges. This work of self-excavation is not always pleasant, for it requires us to confront aspects of ourselves we might prefer to ignore. Yet this confrontation with our shadow, as Carl Jung termed it, is essential for authentic growth. The parts of ourselves we reject or deny do not disappear. They simply operate from the darkness, influencing our behavior in ways we fail to recognize. By bringing these hidden aspects into the light of conscious awareness, we reclaim the energy that was previously locked in internal conflict. This integration of our whole being is what allows us to respond to life from a place of wholeness rather than fragmentation. The quality of our thoughts, as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, becomes the fabric from which our experience is woven. Thoughts are not merely passive observations of reality. They are active creators of our perceived world. When we think thoughts of gratitude, we literally rewire our neural pathways to notice more of what we have rather than what we lack. When we practice thoughts of compassion, we develop the capacity to see beyond the surface behaviors of others to the common humanity that connects us all. This understanding leads us to one of the most profound realizations on the path to serenity, that we are not victims of our thoughts, but rather their conscious gardeners. Just as a skilled gardener knows which plants to nurture and which weeds to remove, we can learn to cultivate thoughts that serve our highest good while gently releasing those that diminish our peace. This is not about positive thinking or denying difficult emotions, but rather about developing the wisdom to know which thoughts deserve our attention and energy. The practice of mindfulness becomes our tool for this inner gardening. By learning to observe our thoughts without immediately identifying with them, we create space between the thinker and the thought. In this space lies our freedom. We begin to see that we are not our anxiety. We are the awareness that notices anxiety. We are not our anger. We are the consciousness that observes anger arising and passing away. This shift from identification to observation is perhaps the most liberating discovery we can make. The inner citadel is not built through a single moment of insight, but through the patient accumulation of conscious choices. Each time we pause before reacting, each moment we choose response over reaction. Each instance we remember our deeper values in the face of provocation. These become the stones from which our fortress of serenity is constructed. The citadel grows stronger not through the absence of storms, but through our increasing ability to remain centered within them. Ancient wisdom traditions across cultures have recognized this truth. The Taoists speak of Wu Wei, the art of effortless action that flows from a deep alignment with the natural order. The Stoics developed practices of negative visualization to reduce attachment to external circumstances. The Buddhist tradition offers the Noble Eightfold Path as a systematic approach to liberation from suffering. While their methods differ, all point toward the same fundamental recognition that true peace comes from within. The modern world, with its constant stimulation and relentless pace, presents unique challenges to this inner cultivation. We are bombarded with messages designed to capture our attention and direct our thoughts toward external solutions for internal challenges. Social media promises connection while often delivering comparison. Consumer culture suggests that happiness can be purchased, while true contentment remains elusive. The news cycle feeds our fear while starving our sense of agency and hope. Navigating this modern landscape requires what we might call spiritual discernment, the ability to distinguish between what genuinely nourishes our soul and what merely provides temporary distraction or stimulation. This discernment develops through practice and reflection, through learning to notice the difference between activities that leave us feeling energized and aligned versus those that leave us depleted or disconnected from our deeper truth. The cultivation of our inner citadel also requires us to examine our relationship with time itself. So much of our anxiety stems from dwelling in the past or projecting into the future, while the present moment, the only place where life actually occurs, slips by unnoticed. The practice of presence is not about denying the importance of learning from the past or planning for the future, but rather about recognizing that both are most effectively done from a centered awareness in the now. This present moment awareness reveals another profound truth, that most of our suffering occurs in the realm of story rather than direct experience. We suffer not just from what happens to us, but from the meaning we assign to what happens to us. A job loss is experienced differently by someone who views it as a catastrophic failure versus someone who sees it as an opportunity for redirection. The external event is the same. The internal experience is radically different. The philosopher Viktor Frankl, writing from his experience in Nazi concentration camps, articulated this truth with remarkable clarity. Everything can be taken from us except the freedom to choose our attitude toward our circumstances. This freedom, exercised within the inner citadel, becomes the source of an unconquerable serenity that no external force can diminish. As we deepen our practice of inner cultivation, we begin to notice that serenity is not the absence of feeling, but rather the presence of an unshakable center from which all feelings can be witnessed with equanimity. Joy and sorrow, excitement and disappointment, hope and fear, all are welcomed as visitors in the guest house of consciousness, but none are allowed to become permanent residents who dictate the terms of our existence. This cultivation of inner serenity naturally extends outward, affecting the quality of our relationships and our contribution to the world. When we are not driven by unconscious fears and desires, we can respond to others from a place of genuine care rather than need. When we are not constantly defending our fragile ego, we can listen deeply and speak truthfully. When we are rooted in our own center, we can offer genuine stability to those who are struggling to find their own. The work of building our inner citadel is ultimately an act of service, not just to ourselves, but to all those whose lives we touch. In a world often characterized by reactivity and unconsciousness, choosing to live from awareness and intention becomes a gift to the collective human experience. We become living examples of what is possible when humans take responsibility for the quality of their inner life. The path is not always easy, nor should we expect it to be. There will be days when the storms seem too powerful, when our practices feel inadequate, when the pull of old patterns seems irresistible. These moments of difficulty are not failures, but opportunities to deepen our commitment to conscious living. Each time we return to our practices after falling away, each moment we choose awareness over automaticity, we strengthen the foundations of our inner fortress. The ultimate paradox of this journey is that as we build stronger walls around our inner citadel, we simultaneously develop the capacity to live with an increasingly open heart. True serenity does not isolate us from life, but enables us to engage with it more fully. When we are not constantly protecting ourselves from the possibility of pain, we can risk the vulnerability that genuine connection requires. When we are not afraid of our own emotions, we can be present with the emotions of others. The happiness that Marcus Aurelius spoke of is not the fleeting pleasure that comes from external circumstances aligning with our preferences. It is the deep contentment that arises from knowing that regardless of what life brings, we possess the tools and wisdom necessary to meet it with grace. This happiness is available to us not as a future destination to be reached, but as a present reality to be claimed through the quality of our thoughts and the depth of our awareness. The inner citadel stands not as a fortress of isolation, but as a sanctuary of authentic strength. From this centered place, we can engage with life's challenges not as victims of circumstance, but as conscious participants in the grand adventure of existence. The storms will continue to rage in the external world, but within our inner sanctuary, a profound serenity awaits our recognition and cultivation. The choice remains always before us: to live at the mercy of external circumstances, or to claim our birthright as conscious beings capable of creating peace within, regardless of the chaos without. The quality of our thoughts, moment by moment, decision by decision, builds the fortress of our serenity and determines the happiness of our lives.